If your body is your car and your mind is your destination and the journey and your goals and your nav system, fear is the fuel. I need the fear, and it's either the backseat driver going, you're going to miss your turn, you're not driving fast enough, you're going to suck, or you tell it to buckle up, hey, you're part of the system, we're going fast, and you hit the gas and you go. Your mind navigates the body, folks. Everyone listening to this, whatever you do, you got writer's block, you can't write, mind navigates the body. You want to propose to somebody and you can't get it out of your mouth, the mind navigates the body. You want to get a divorce, but 3 years have gone by and you can't create the conversation. You want to quit your shitty job and become an entrepreneur. You want to ask somebody for a raise. You want to ask somebody, I want to have kids. You want to go, hey, don't talk to me that way. You insert yourself. The mind navigates the body. You can't move your tongue. It's because your brain's in the fear loop. Every single problem, when someone goes through our process, every single problem, when you peel it and you drill down, there'll be a resting spot where the person just says, you know what, I'm afraid. That is the core. The only reason we have doubt and hesitation in life is because there's fear. And I like using this acronym, false expectations appearing real. It's a movie in my mind. I'm visualizing a future event that I envision or foresee as negatory, derogatory, painful, terminal, whatever. And it's impacting my decisions in the present. But it hasn't even happened. It's me just like watching this future movie. And that's what creates any level of anxiety, is imagining something in the future instead of dealing with the present.
Well, imagine well, one quick thing just to that point. Yeah. I just want to say I always love the saying, worry is praying for what you don't want, which means you're visualizing the negative result you don't want in your life. And what we know in success of any kind, of any high performer, of anybody that's doing anything in life, you got to visualize what you want out of life. You have to visualize what you're going to give it, what you'd like to receive out of it, how you're going to do your best. And if you spend all your time in a state of worry and fear, you're actually creating the very world that you don't want to live in. It's very powerful.
Scott, it's a great expression. And to that point, if we come back 15, 20 minutes ago, when I talked about the power of self-awareness, and everyone knows that's a superpower, but nobody has like a direct path to it. How do you create, like the things that I'm aware of now in my 60s, I wasn't aware of when I was 20, in my 30s and 40s, right? And there's that old expression, youth is wasted on the young type thing, or whatever that is. But it's a cliche because it's true. I have 3 kids, 32, 25, 21, and I send them messages and I go, hey, save this, screenshot this, save this. Because when you're older, you'll go, oh, Dad tried to tell me this when I was younger, and I was like that crazy old man. Because I know, and I joke with them, I go, guys, when I send you these things to watch this podcast, listen to this, think about this, here's, they all send me like little hearts and tap it like that. And I go, but I know you're really thinking, oh, fuck, here's like another quote from Dad. I go, I was in my 20s and 30s too. I thought I was invincible too. And when somebody would try to, I call it the accidental mentor. When somebody would say, hey, did you ever think about this? Part of my ego, even at an unconscious level, go, that doesn't apply to me because I got life figured out. And, but it's funny, but I love that expression, but it comes back to, you can't absorb, just like protein, fat, carbs, you can't absorb certain things if it's not organic, or if your body is not already satiated or overwhelmed with other shit, right? And so there's a saturation point, and how do you improve that self-awareness? My experience is the fastest way to improve your self-awareness is to study the psychology of fear, not the physiology of fear. Because I could say to you, and I'll give you an example. I get hired to help people with like fear of public speaking, and they go, and I'll start off and I'll make a funny cartoony role playing thing, and I go, hey, can you help me with my public speaking? I go, yeah, but what seems to be the problem? Well, I'm afraid of public speaking. Well, it sounds like you're doing great. I go, what are you talking about? Well, you're speaking in public to me, and I understand what you're saying. You're not like, they go, ha, ha, ha. This isn't public speaking. This is one-on-one. Well, it's actually public speaking. We just met. You're speaking in public. They go, very funny. I get what you're doing here. I go, so let me ask you this. Like, tell me, about your family. Oh, wife, kids. How do you what do you like? You pass notes? Is it smoke signals? Guys like, what are you talking about? Like dinner. Obviously, you don't talk because you're afraid of public speaking. So what do? You go like, well, obviously I can talk with my family. Okay. Well, tell me about work. Well, I got a small company. We've got 10 employees. We do this. I got an outside sales force. I go, same thing, smoke signals, or do you you leave messages in the bathroom and like it's code, tradecraft? And the guy's like, no, we talk. I go, but you're afraid of public speaking. So how do you do that? What we're doing is we're peeling the onion until the guy goes, I'm afraid of somebody in the audience, because if I don't hit this note or make this message, that could impact the perceived value of my speech, or I'm doing a sales pitch, or it always comes down to that. And when you recognize what it is, now we can begin to work. And I'll give you one other, if that didn't make sense. Hopefully
that makes perfectly good sense, because what you're doing is you're teaching this person to speak. You're basically showing them that they do this every day. And when you get someone to talk about something, what they have, most people are really afraid of talking about something they don't know about. They're not afraid of actually talking about what they know and what they do every day. So you're peeling the onion down to find out exactly where the lock is.
To that point, and this is interesting, to that point, nobody would have to give a speech on something they didn't know about.
Exactly.
So yes, it's showing them where, and that's also the psychology behind my system is, if I show you an elbow or a headbutt or a palm strike, I'm showing you movements that you've been doing for decades. Like I go, have you ever done a push-up? You go, yeah. I go, well, how many push-ups do you think you've done in your life? I go, I don't know. Like, do you do like one a day? Have you done like 10? Did you go through, if you're a little athletic, we all do push-ups or wall balls, or, we're stretching before a run. That's the same kinetic chain as a palm strike. So when you're afraid to do a palm strike, I go, you've already done your 10,000 reps. Your body knows how to do it. The neural circuitry is there. The neural patterns are there. What you're struggling with is the aggression to do it into somebody's face who's about to harm you. Now we're in the fear loop. So we demystify, even in self-defense, the public speaking metaphor. So that was very intuitive of you to bring that up. But what I do is I go, listen, it's not, you're now going to be talking about something that you like or don't like, but you prepared your speech. When you peel the onion, they realize, well, the CEO of the company is going to be there. I've only met him once. Okay, what's your concern there? Well, I really want to get promoted, and if I do a good job here, it'll do that. And now when you start talking it through, fear takes its hold on you, because fear of the known can become something manageable. It's like when you go, hey, I got brain fog, I'm freaking lost. You've created the discipline exercise. I'm going to write down my 4 quadrants. I'm going to get on a paper. When I look at it, I go, you idiot. And you could roll it up and throw it in the fire, or you circle something. I'm going to do that first. You've demystified it by laying it out, and now you've got a battle plan in front of you. So it's that same protocol, but the journey is now the self-awareness piece, and getting somebody to go. And this is the whole thing, is a type A personality, which is probably most of your audience and certainly my audience. That's why the joke I made back in the beginning is fear management needs new management, because like if somebody said to me, years ago, are you afraid? I go, what do you mean? What am I afraid? And this is how big self-awareness is. Have you ever walked into a room, your family, a business, a relative, and you could see somebody struggling with emotional, psychological, financial, or a health issue, and they're like, body language is 60% of communication approximately, and they're sitting there like this, and you go, hey, What's up? And they're like, nothing. Why? What's up? You okay? Yeah. Why? What's up? They have no idea that they're like, there's this rain cloud, a storm cloud over their head. And maybe a day later or a week later, they go, hey, can I talk to you? You go, yeah, what's up? This has been bothering me for, yeah, remember last week when I said, are you okay? But the connection here, this is huge. And I just got goosebumps. When I work with just good people, but also companies, I point out, do you realize that managing fear also helps you manage time? That the longer you're in the fear loop, the longer you aren't performing or actualizing or moving. And time is the only resource we can't regenerate. So it's a fascinating thing where, like, if you think about how many people that you've consulted with that are now on their entrepreneurial journey, and you ask them, when did you know this job wasn't right for you? And how long did it take you to quit and then start doing your other thing? It's never like, I don't like this job, I'm quitting. It's like years, right. 7 years, 7 years, 5 years.
It's too long. It's
years.
too long. It's too long. It's like the gut that you just mentioned, how somebody that has an experience where violence happens and they had a feeling before it happened. It's the same exact thing. It's just a feeling. It's a feeling that stays for way too long until there's movement or action. And the action helps them move towards the common goal, which gets them out to the result that they're aiming for.
Yeah. And so imagine if the person who waited 5 years to start their company, and then they go, yeah, I'm making less money, but I work for myself and this is my purpose and this is my passion. And they're going like, I've never been happier. I go, imagine like it took you 5 years to experience this. So those of you out there going, I don't know, biting your nails, worrying, and it, you know, to your point, you know, the worry quote, like I'm wishing for things I don't want, right? But it's a really convoluted protocol because it's this dance with, okay, I'm single, she's looking at me, I'm looking at her, I'm fearing rejection, I'm hesitating. And I remember I tell this story, Lucy was the hottest girl in school. Everyone wanted to date Lucy. And I wanted to take her to the prom. I'm 16 years old. She was in a bunch of my classes. We had mutual friends. One day I go, okay, oh my God, okay. Hey, Lucy. Hey, oh, hi, Tony. Did you want to ask me something? Yeah, you're going to be in history class later? Like, yeah, of course. Okay, see ya. And then I'm going, you idiot, like fucking ask her. And then the next day I go, hey, yesterday I wanted to ask you. And like, I just got nervous because I thought you'd say no, but are you going with anyone to the prom? Because I'd love to go. I'd love to go with you. And she goes, I got 6 dogs. Archer, come here and say hi. And she goes, oh my God, Tony, Bobby asked me yesterday and I said, yes, I would have loved to go with you. And I'm like, nah, like if she went with Bobby, she for sure would have gone with me.
It's life.
Right. Life happens fast, man.
Yeah.
And to your point, if you can, at the first intuition to do something, create, oh, wait a minute, that's the pre-contact cue to start strategizing. But what doubt creates hesitation, hesitation creates procrastination, unchecked meaning, and the only way you can lean into it is if you've got the self-awareness to go, wait a minute, my breathing just changed, my mindset just changed, my physiology has changed. The only way you can get into it is through the self-awareness, but if it's unchecked, it becomes procrastination shifts to fixation. Unchecked fixation becomes like a non-clinical anxiety, and in some cases, anxiety. Why didn't you do this? Right? And anybody who took years to finally have kids, or finally get a dog, or finally quit a job, or finally get divorced, or finally ask for a raise, when they shift, when their energy shifts that they can make that happen, they're all like, oh my God, like you get good news. You're waiting for a yes, no on something. You get good news. The first thing people do is stand up and they go, oh, thank God. And I tell people, this is metaphorically the way to fear. What is the metaphoric weight of fear? They go, no, what do you mean? When you get good news, you're waiting, is your loan approved? Did you get accepted at college? Did the test come back okay? Did you do whatever it is? Did she say yes? Did he say yes? When you get good news, you always stand up. There's always some sort of elevation. And I want everyone listening to this, think about that. Holy shit, that is the weight of fear. Fear actually has a metaphoric weight on our psyche and therefore our posture, emotional and literal. It's pretty crazy shit.
It is crazy. And it adds up. When you talk about procrastination, fear of failure is something that is not, it's embedded in everybody to some degree, and you have to work through it, right? So many of our listeners are dealing with it right now. But here's the key. When you just described that procrastination, what usually happens to people is you're only describing one of the 17 things they're procrastinating on.
Right.
And then as those 17 things add up, they become paralyzed in a way that they can't move. They can't take action. Whereas I got too much debt. Well, the first way to get out of debt is to start paying a little bit of it down over a course of time. Debt snowball, whatever the thing that they have to really deal with. Instead, they just keep pushing it off, and that anxiety builds up. But on the other side of anxiety is usually the success that they're aiming for. On the other end of working through that, it's that true success. It's that liberation, that freedom. You know, there's flags behind both of us. At the end of the day, freedom from fear is probably not something that most people will ever experience. But what you're trying to teach is how to adjust, adapt, be a part of it, understand it, acknowledge it, face it, control it, and really create the tools in and around your own self-awareness to a better world, to a better day, to a better, to not missing the chance. You just described what most men have felt in their lives. And that feeling, everybody's felt that, where they've wanted something so bad that they almost would rather go quiet and not do it because the fear of failure is worse than the result of something positive, of actually getting it. And that sucks. It's a crappy way to live. It's so much better just to go after it and fail and figure it out from there.
And if I can piggyback on that, if you fail at something, life's the lesson, you're the student, but you get to grade the paper. Life doesn't give you the grade. You go, I showed up, but I wasn't prepared. And so I'm going to give myself an A for effort, but I'm going to give myself an F in preparation. I should have done my homework. Or, you got through something and you did okay, but you're now worrying about if that event happens again. And you realize, you know what? I'm going to give myself an A for improvisation, but I'm giving myself like a D- on preparation. And then you start to realize, like the quadrants and there are things that you can do. Face it, understand it, control it, know it. The understand part is the research. And now you might go, oh, I can't fake endurance. I can't fake stamina. I can't fake a competence. Everyone can fake confidence, but you can't fake competence. And it's a subtle distinction. I don't know if I beat this into the ground enough, but I want to say it again. There are lots of things in life we need to do scared. But the operative word is need to do. And so if you go through, and this is my whole thing. No one ever said to me when I was young, it's okay to be afraid. You can be up at bat afraid. But I was so afraid of the fear that I couldn't connect the neural pathways to the skill set, because it was almost like you're at bat and I'm like right on your shoulder going, Scott, you suck. Don't strike out. And you're like, shut up, man, shut up. Oh, fuck, I just missed the pitch. Because you're having and I've had those conversations. I've been in confrontations where I'm going, he's too close to kick. Okay, Alex said if he catches anyone fighting, my instructor in the school, you're kicked out. You don't want to get kicked. Oh, fuck, you just punch. As opposed to just being in the zone, going, okay, you're about to get in a fight. Focus on what you need to do. What you need to do. That's a silly metaphor. I want to share this quick story if I can.
Please.
I got a call from an athlete who said, I heard you're the Anthony Robbins of self-defense to me. I said, okay, cool, thanks. She goes, meaning like performance, psychology, fear. And she says, I've got a competition on Saturday. I've been a professional athlete for 10 years. And like on Wednesday night, the fear hits me. I can't eat, I can't sleep properly. And I know, just as an educated athlete, that sleep deprivation and not consuming the right, proteins and carbs and fats means that on Saturday, I can't perform in my optimal. Can you help? I go, yeah. So tell me, what do you mean the fear comes Wednesday night? She says, like Wednesday night, when I start going, okay, I'm 3 days out, it's almost like this dark force comes in the house. And I'm like, I can feel my physiology change. And I'm going, oh, fuck, I'm going to be up all night. And I dread it. And I honestly, she says, it's like I'm going to die. I go, really? That potent? She goes, yeah, like I feel like I'm going to die. I'm so scared. I'm like nervous. I want to fucking, sometimes I feel like I want to throw up. I can't eat. I go, okay, so listen. And I take out a pen and I go like this and I go, pretend I'm writing. I go, so the program that I'm going to design for you, I need some very specific data. So 10 years you've had this, right? I pretend to write down 10. And then I go, and you feel like you're going to die, right? She goes, yes. It's a strong emotion. She goes, I know. I go, so in the last 10 years, how many times have you died? And she goes, what? I go, how many times have you died from this? She goes, well, I'm just saying metaphorically I die. Oh, I thought you literally died from this fear. Okay, so let me cross that out. So she's like looking at me on Zoom, Scott, and I go, here's what I want you to do. And she's like confused. I go, it's Wednesday today, so fear's going to come in tonight, like the ghost of Christmas, right? I go, here's what I want you to do. I want you to anticipate its arrival. And I want you to, I go, do you have a favorite old movie? Gone with the Wind? I don't care what it is. She goes, yeah. I go, you got some favorite books? Atlas Shrugged. I don't know, some classic. She goes, yeah. I said, get your favorite book and your favorite movie ready. And when you feel your physiology, your parasympathetic shifting to sympathetic, I want you to immediately turn towards what you imagine the force of fear. And I said, with your finger like this, come here. I want you to say, come here, you little fucker. I've been waiting for you. And I want you to welcome it and go, we're going to watch a movie tonight. And when I'm tired of the movie, we're going to read a little bit. Fuck you, sit down. And she goes, like, are you serious? I go, yeah. In fact, let me see you role play. And she goes, and she's laughing. Come here, little. I go, do that. I said, call me tomorrow. Tell me what happened. She calls me in the morning. I get goosebumps now. She goes, I don't remember falling asleep. I had a good night's sleep. Holy shit. You need to fuck with fear. It needs to be, if your body is in this metaphor, if your body is your car and your mind is your destination and the journey and your goals and your nav system, fear is the fuel. Because if you're going somewhere outside your comfort zone, which is the only way to grow as a human, the only way to self-actualize, you want to be like a better dad, a better husband, a better athlete, you got to do things that push you outside your comfort zone. And anytime you go outside your comfort zone, if it's truly outside your comfort zone, you're going to be a little bit nervous. There's going to be a moment where you go, okay, I'm going to run a little bit longer today. I'm going to lift a little bit more weight today. I'm going to talk to a bigger audience. I'm going to make more phone calls, whatever it is. And like that's that metaphor. There's my car is my body. My mind is a nav system. And in terms of growing, fear is the fuel. I need the fear. And it's either the backseat driver going, you're going to miss your turn, you're not driving fast enough, you're going to suck, or you tell it to buckle up, hey, you're part of the system, we're going fast, and you hit the gas and you go.
I always had a tendency with my kids. They're 16 and 13 now, and they play competitive soccer and at pretty high levels, and both of them, when we would get to the game, mainly not both of them all the time, but enough when they're young, they're 5, 6, 7, and they'd start to say, I'm nervous, Dad, or I'm uncomfortable, or you have those butterflies in your stomach. Sure. Right. And I would say, well, tell me what it feels like. And they'd say, well, my stomach's uncomfortable. I don't want to eat anything. I don't want to drink. It's similar to the professional athlete. And sure. I would say, well, let me tell you what always works for me. I never didn't have those butterflies. I don't care if I was an adult playing adult men's league soccer at 41 years old. I get up to take the kickoff and I feel the exact same way that you do right now at 5 years old. But here's what I've done. I've told myself that I'm not nervous. I'm excited. It's
Beautiful.
there. The same feeling is there, but the change of nervous to the word excitement has always altered and adjusted my mindset.
Beautiful.
And I really, and I'd love to know your point on this, and if there's any input. But I feel like today so many parents are spending so much time welcoming the fear and then making an excuse why it's taking over, instead of actually helping their children cope with what's going to come in the real world. And the real world is going to constantly have things that you get nervous about, uncomfortable about, and fear and anxiety have to be met with some level of courage. You say that fear is contagious, but so is courage. Yeah. So I feel like if we start teaching that we can convert that into some level of courage and facing it, it's a whole different movement, not just for people that have dealt with major things, not just for self-defense, but for every kid that we're teaching to grow up the right way, to not be caught in this anxious, uncomfortable, I can't solve my own problems world.
Yeah, that was a great rant, man. Listen, fear has been weaponized in the last few years. We've never seen anything like it. And so it's almost normal to feel fear. And we already fear fear. So to feel it, but it's everywhere. You turn everywhere, every tweet, every Instagram, and you don't even know it's real anymore. So it's mind-boggling. So critical thinking doesn't exist for most of the planet because they're living in the fear loop. And they're trusting all the propaganda. At the end of the day, the only way we can save ourselves and our families is to teach them self-awareness, critical thinking, situational awareness. That's the tactical trinity for, creating decisions. What am I going to do next? Fear is contagious, but so is courage. I love this. Is right out of our No Fear program. I'd love to share this with your audience. And it's one of my favorite lines, and it might be your next tattoo or your first one if you haven't gotten any.
It would have to be my first. I fear the tattoo.
You fear the tattoo.
Yeah.
But this will be like one across your neck, your first one.
Okay, all right.
But it's you can't be brave if you're not afraid. The primary ingredient in courage, if this was a glass full of courage, the only thing in it would be fear. If you do something, and I go, Scott, that was so courageous. And you go, what do you mean? I just did this. It's not courageous at all. It's something I've always been able to do that. Then we can't agree that was courage. Like if there was no fear to do it. And so this is an interesting thing. If I said to you, would you like to be brave if the time required you to be brave? Yeah. Would you like to exhibit courage? Why would somebody say, no, I don't want to be brave? Right? We all want, but this idea, and it's funny. So first of all, kudos to you, Dad, because if you were my dad, I'd have had a different experience growing up. Like seriously, just the shift of, when that female athlete said, fear is going to kill me. And I said, fuck fear. You're going to face it. You're going to understand it. You're going to control it. You're going to know it, and call me tomorrow. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to control the fear. It's going to be there. You're going to feel it. But the shift that you did was intuitively the same thing. Words are icons. And the word that I choose to think is going to have a different impact on my psyche, my nervous system. So if I go, like I grew up, when I had butterflies in my stomach, and this is my line, it's like, it's something out of my talk. I would think, everyone says I'm so good, but if I'm so good, why am I so scared? And I've said that line and had adults start to cry in the class because they go, oh my God, that was me too. I thought I was good. I knew I was good. I could do it in front of the mirror, but then I'd get out there going, man, I just want to projectile vomit. People don't realize Mike Tyson used to cry and throw up before some of his fights. George St. Pierre now that he's retired, he's telling people like the scariest days of his life was every time he had to fight. He hated it. But you would never, him jumping across the ring with 4% body fat, doing the first Superman punch into somebody's face. If I said to you, that guy was terrified like 15 minutes ago, you go, what are you talking about? We don't realize that these high performers have figured out how to manage their fear. And that's really, what it's about.